So I'd love to welcome our speaker for today for this event. Is actually my own boss. So and I've learned so many things from him personally, and I believe we all will be learning something great from him today as well. So if you're ready for the journey, let's leave a message in the chat space saying I am ready. So let's do that quickly. Thank you. So I can see we're all ready and we're ready to move on with the journey. Uh, Again, I'd love to introduce us to our speaker for today. Like I said earlier, is my boss. Is a wonderful person, a person that you're always eager to learn from because he has a lot of stuffs with him that you can always tap from. So his name is Joshua Omobola. He's a DevRel cooperator. So and he's a community person, and that's why we're here. So CMX is all about community management, community building, how you can make yourself better through a community, and how you can impact the life of others through community. So it would be taking us on the topic, the super guide to asking questions in communities. So how do we do that? How are we supposed to make that work and make the best out of our participation in the different communities that we are in? So he's going to take us on that right now, and I hope you're all set for the journey. So welcome, Joshua. I believe you can hear me. Are you with us, Joshua?
Yeah, yes, I'm here.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope your day has been great and wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're glad to have you. So I think you have the flow now, so you can take us on the ride with you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. I have the stage now, so I can I can do and do and do. All right, guys. So excited to be here. Let me share my screen so I can put things in motion. Okay. Today, uh, I'm so excited for. Is there a way to react, guys? I'm looking for reaction buttons. Um, Aziz, is there a way for people to like do thumbs up and all those things?
I think it is in the chat box.
Shared box. Oh, okay, good. Okay, all right. I'm used to meet. I mean, all those things. All right, guys. Super excited to be with you guys. You can do a thumbs up. You can be excited. Today we're going to be talking about something that I believe is an important pillar in a functioning community, in the community that works. And I want to quickly go through the reason why we're having this conversation. So myself and Azuzu were like talking one day, and I think maybe we saw a question that day, or I can't really remember. But the conversation started just became like people ask random questions and like, is there a better way to have these things? And what can like I think that's what really stemmed what brought about the like, okay, let's see if we can make how do we present this idea to people in such a way that they can learn from the process, or what exactly is the process of asking questions, and how can you ask valuable questions. So that is why we are going to be having this talk today. Today is the super guide to asking questions in communities. And I believe at some point in our life we belong to one community. We are here because of a community we belong to, which is CMX. And if you're not even in any community, maybe any group, you belong to a family. You came out of somewhere, right? And you ask questions there. So in any ways, this should be helpful to everybody in some form, right? So who am I, and why exactly am I talking about this? Who is this person speaking? So my name is Joshua. I love traveling, and I have a dream to travel Africa next year. I love communities, and I serve a couple in my space, and this is also one of the communities that I'm very interested in helping around. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here, and also I'm trying to create content on YouTube. Well, I should do better next year, and then I'm a community rockstar, and looking to become somebody that can share more knowledge about communities. And I'm not that exciting. I don't watch football. Okay, yeah, I'm single, and my Wi-Fi is turned off. I skipped that on purpose, but yeah, I'm focused on other things right now. I don't know. So I'm a Web5 advocate. So I've heard about Web5. In case you want to have that discussion later, I could. I don't know how we're going to set it up, but I would love to talk about Web5 to you guys for those that are interested. Yeah. So today's agenda is quite straightforward. Can anybody see my camera? Because I can't see myself here. Okay, let me just check.
You can't see your face, but the presentation is on.
My presentation is on. Okay, well, I guess both can work. So, all right, today we're going to talk about questions. What are questions? For some reasons, I can't see myself to write even my screen. All right, so what are questions and why you should ask questions? And I'm going to quickly go into the anatomy of a good question. And then I'm going to show you like a framework that I came up with that could help you ask good questions. And hopefully, you always get your answers because you always provide people with all the ingredients that they need to help you solve your problems. Because we should remember that I said one of the very rudiments of a community is people coming together. People are the essential source in a community. A community is a group of people that have goals that are aligned and see a destination that all of them find their story in. Once you remove people from communities, you have nothing. You have a vacuum is filled up, and everybody is there to learn something, to help each other grow, to share, to just participate in the ecosystem of this drive to achieve that certain goal. You feel me? And at every point in time, we've asked questions. The innovations we have today were driven by questions. You know, so, somebody asked, okay, what is this thing that happens when I lift my hand? Oh, okay, so I lift my hand, I feel, oh, there are bones in my body, right? What exactly is this? And questions bring questions, and answers bring questions. I know there's this rapid. So questions are very important. Questions are the way we learn. Questions are the way we grow. Questions are the way we help. You can help somebody by asking the right questions. That's what doctors do. When you go to the hospital and you're saying, "Hey, doctor, I think I'm feeling headache," the doctor asks you question to help you. So questions are ingredients; they are very essential, and we need to learn how to ask these questions because oftentimes I see crazy questions in communities. I'm like, these questions don't provide the substance for me to help you, and they kind of get annoying at some point. But as community people, we should realize that we should not we should see everything from a positive endpoint, and we should find ways to help regardless. So questions are very important, and we've asked questions all our lives, right? So quickly, we should look at what type of questions even exist. Do you feel me? So we have open-ended questions, we have closed-ended questions. These are the basic form of questions that you would ever get. In case you're seeing pictures, random pictures, these are not random. I love pictures and creative things, so I just dazzled it around the page. This is creative, something I found on Pinterest at school. I decided to share with you guys. So open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. Quickly, I'm sure we've heard about these things for several times, open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, but open-ended questions are questions that you literally have to give some form of a more comprehensive answer. These are not questions that you give one word replies. These are not questions that you can just say yes or no, they could answer. They allow you to be able to describe things. And then there are closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are questions that they don't give you the freedom to explore. You can't say your story about your life. For example, have you eaten this morning? Yes, no. That is not the moment where you go into, oh, I've eaten rice and fish and dog. No, you don't do that. They don't provide you the context to expand on the structure of things, right? And these two forms of questions have their uses. When you're trying to get more responses from people, like maybe for qualitative things, like you just want to know the general feel of things. If I ask a question and say, how many of you guys are enjoying my presentation so far? Will that be open ended or close ended? Oh yeah, that could be close ended because you can say yes, I am. In fact, if you're enjoying I've not lost you. Can you do like your favorite emoji in the chat? Let me see. That is like let's do that quick. Uh, if you're following me and I've not lost you, can you drop your favorite emoji in the chat? Yeah, yeah, okay. All right, cool. All right, yes, yes. Okay, so I believe you guys are with me. That's cool. Yeah, so these two questions are, if you ask on Google the types of questions, this is what you will see. Open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, and they each have their places where you bring them about. Do you feel me? So when you so because communities, there are several communities, right? I know this. In fact, I lead a couple once. I serve couple once. Each of us here are community leaders at in some capacity, and there are reasons why you would see different kind of questions come up. And then there's a statement that we usually say, example, especially for teachers, when they are like, you can ask your questions, there are no stupid questions, right? They say there are no stupid questions. I'm very sure you must have heard that statement. Don't worry, ask your questions, there are no stupid questions, you can ask them. Oh, actually, there are no stupid questions, because you need to understand the place of empathy. I'm talking on this because I believe we're all community leaders in some ways and community members. So if you see a question that comes on board, and there are no stupid questions really, everybody needs is learning, and whatever is clear to you right now might be clear to the person tomorrow. It's just at this moment he just needs help to get it right. So there are not really any stupid questions, but there are bad questions. They're bad questions. They're questions. I keep saying questions a lot because that is exactly what we're talking about, right? They're bad questions. And this is a super guide to asking questions, right? For example, this is one of my recent conversations. At the last minute, I remember that I've not blowed the person's chat. So in case you are here and you're the person that asked that question, I'm sorry. I'm protecting you. Nobody knows who you are. But I'm sorry, this is a bad question, right? So there are several things wrong about this question in a community where it is filled with people that do this. So the person comes on board and say, any cloud engineer professional here, I want to ask some questions. If you can permit me, several things are wrong with that. A community is there to help you. You don't need permission to ask for help in the community. The reason why you're there is to be associated with people that you can always throw questions at, you can always learn from. So this is a very bad question. And okay, you can see my reply to that question. It was not, I was not being sarcastic when I said it, because I was being realistic. The worst that can happen to you when you ask a question in the group is that nobody answers you, right? That's the worst that can happen. And that in itself shows the temperature of the community. If the community is very active, and everybody is very conscious about that, you would see somebody in some, if you've asked the good question, right? Somebody in some form will say something that would possibly help you to get direction. So I replied to the person and said, just ask. And farm is more like, I wanted it not to seem like I was attacking him, to be like, we're chill here. If there is, you will get your answer. If there is not, the worst that can happen, there's nothing that can happen after you've been hurt. That was my response to him. Some people found it funny, but I was literally just telling the guy that no, ask your questions. Don't worry, ask. And this is one of the reasons that's really spurred a lot of the drive to have this talk with you guys. And questions can be good. Questions can really be good. But first, let's look at why questions are important. And I think I've touched on it several times while doing my chart, during my earlier slides. Um, I recently was given a community champion award for TBD, from my DevRel and from Web 5 stuff. And if I could remember to what really helped to really drive that was because I was answering questions on the chat, and I was also like helping people navigate the issues they were having, at least the ones I knew. And of course, not everybody was asking the right questions, right? So that really draws to the point of asking questions. Why you would always face issues. Not everybody that enters the community, as I'm going into a community of Flutter developers now, or designers. At some point, I could be joining the community at a point where, okay, I know what's going on. I just need a place where I could be among my folks, right? But we should always be empathic to people that are very new to the community. Not every time would you have like all gurus and geniuses. There are people that are fresh and they're beginners. So one of the reasons they will ask question is, okay, please give me direction. I don't know where to go. I'm interested in this, and the first thing I did was join this community, which I believe is filled up with people that are far ahead of me that could point me in the right direction. So those are one of the reasons why we ask questions. And the other way we ask questions is we are stuck with something. And this is the most common one that I've seen that really pisses me off with questions that comes on the community channels that where I am active, right? So I'm a programmer and I will have bugs. At some point, I will not always know what to do. And at some point, I might say, oh, okay, I'm a Vue developer. I belong to a Vue community. I think the right thing for me is to just go there and say, hey guys, how do I make a carousel with the most minimal effort, with the most minimal code? Is there a library I can use? Imagine me going to the community and say, is there a Vue developer here in the community of Vue developers? It's starting the pattern. In a community of Vue developers, I'm asking, is there any Vue developer professional? Yeah. Can you help me? You see, it does not really propagate and move the conversation forward. So one of the other reasons why we also ask questions is to help people. I was saying that as a doctor, you are they call it diagnostics, right? You come into the hospital and you say, my leg aches when I work. The doctor is not supposed to just say go take amphetamine or riboflavin or something. The proper direction is to ask you questions, and those questions will give him clarity on what the actual problem is. So you might be feeling leg pain, but that might actually be your harm that's causing, there could be a root cause somewhere else. So that's one of the other reasons we ask questions. And questions, as I said earlier, are very important to the lifeblood of a community because that is what drives conversations. This is one of the whys. Not every time would the community be posting, do this, do this, do this. Questions keep the communities active. It could even be fun questions like game teasers, and some of these things we even really know how to ask them. But for this conversation, I'm going to be looking from an angle of you have a problem, you have an inquiry, you have a bug, you have an error, you come to the community. How do you ask these things? And then that makes us to go into the next thing, which is called the anatomy of a good question. What have I discovered through my community journey that we can describe as the anatomy of a good question? If you're still with me, drop your favorite emoji. If I'm still with you, let me know. So drop your favorite emoji. Let me know that you guys are still here because. All right. Okay, Piper Wilson. Yes, cool. All right, guys. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I think I may have. Okay, cool. I can continue now. I'm excited that I have not lost you. All right, so the anatomy of a good question. Quickly, what are the anatomy of a good question, and what does a good question look like? I'm trying to get to the part where I can listen to your questions and answer them. Because if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and I'll always try to look at them. Right. So, anatomy of a good question is really simple. Honestly, I've seen that a good question contains several parts, and I think I clarified that I'm looking from the part of where you are making an inquiry, you are asking something, you need something from the community, or you're trying to face a bug. That is the area I'm asking from now, I'm looking from. So, the good question will tell you what the problem is. If I go back to my earlier slide, can anybody, okay, how do I do that now? Okay, previous, yes. In the chat with a yes or a no, can anybody tell me can you tell what the problem is from this question? Can somebody share yes or no? Let me know if you guys can tell. Maybe I don't know what this guy is asking, but if you can tell what the problem is in this question, let me know. Okay, Piper says no, that's cool. I want to see who will say yes. So maybe I need more clarity to understand what the problem is. Okay. So I want to believe that every other person is saying yes, right? Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, you can tell the problem. Okay. Now that's interesting. All right, because I was not even expecting a yes, but let's see. For me, I can't tell what the problem is, right? Because this is going to take an extra work to know what this guy is saying. Now, I can understand the direction of his conversations, right? He's dealing with the cloud, which is what Piper is drawing out. But I don't know what the problem is. So now, if I go to ask this guy now, I will now ask and say, hey, I'm a cloud professional. What is the issue? Or what is the problem? Or what do you need? That is an extra step. And we should understand that community is filled up of people that are probably working professionals already, which he stated any cloud engineer professional, yeah. And we know as technical people, or we are so choked up in work that extra effort to the community, if things are laid out quickly, we can go through them quickly and help and go back to our work. But now this is introducing an extra layer of fiction into the conversation. It's not stating a problem. Next thing is what you've attempted. Now, so that one does not really fit into the thing. So there's something called the proof of effort, which I will talk about later. It is something that I'm going to mention here. So, an atomic good question. You show what the problem is, and you show what you've attempted, because that helps with one of several things. If you're having a problem or a bug, or you're trying to ask a question in a committee, let the people you are asking know what you've tried to do to solve that problem. Don't make it seem like you're just dumping your own problems on their head, or dumping your own responsibilities on somebody's plate. You need to prove that you've done some things. You need to prove that you've done the research. Hey guys, what's the best way to? What is this? What is this? I have tried to do this and this, but I'm still not getting what I need to get. Please, how do I do this? That is where you've shown that you've tried, and you've shown what you've tried. So, in fact, that even eliminates the number of options that are left. Every other person that is coming to help you with that problem, or coming to help you with that solution, or coming to help you with that issue, already knows the options that are not work are not. Instead of going around the circle, you can just say, eliminate these two things. I don't know what is wrong, but I've tried to do these two things. And the other thing is, why describing those things? Somebody might even see where the problem from what you're even trying could be. So I have tried. Hey guys, I'm trying to fetch water from the tap. I expected the water to go into the bucket. It is not. I have tried to lift the bucket up to check it, and then somebody says, "Okay, while you are trying to lift the bucket up, did you notice if there is an hole at the bottom of the bucket? Maybe the water is leaking." That helps people go to your solutions faster. You've told them what the problem is. You're telling them what you attempted, and they could eliminate and easily, quickly answer your problems. You get your answer faster, and everybody is happy, right? And then you should always try to. A good question should come with some proof, a visual proof, a visual presentation of what the thing is or what the problem is. Whatever you can put together that is going to be visible for the person to see what they can help you with. So, developers, that would be meaning if you've not hosted your code on GitHub, that you can send a link. That will mean you take a screenshot or a snip, you snipe the area, and then you send that and say, okay, this is what the error looks like, and this is what this looks like. This is if you can copy code. This is the code snippet I'm trying. All that helps you get the solutions to your questions faster. And you would not believe the number of people that don't do this. I wanted to take my time to take screenshots, but this weekend has been a roller coaster of things, so it was not really a chance to do that. I just because that one was very recent. That's why it was very easy to find for me to just take a capture and then put it here. Always attach visual proof as much as you can. There are other questions that don't require that, but you need to be able to be descriptive with what you're trying to achieve, and make sure it involves a couple of these things. I'm going to mention the framework later, but the last thing is also what you expected to happen. Now, most times, I've realized that sometimes you might be thinking it gives everybody clarity when you can tell the problem, what you've tried, you've shown them visual proof, and then you are telling me what you expected to happen. Maybe you are using the medicine to fix my head problems. You are using, and you are expecting my leg problem to be fixed. If I'm having an headache now, and there's a particular drug that is meant to fix it, and I'm using that, I would not expect my leg pain to go with the drug I'm using for my headache, right? Those are two different problems, and they require two different things. So you also need to include what you expect to happen. Like, I'm trying to do a carousel. I don't know what the code I'm trying to use. This are what I try, and I expect this to happen. Somebody can say, "Oh, you are really trying the entirely different thing." That is worth a good question contains the anatomy of a good question. So, I want to quickly go through some neverisms to some what a bad question could be like. Don't start a question with this. Is there anyone who designs here? Uh I'm sorry if I'm not mentioning. So I believe that we have developers and designers and other people here. I'm sorry, but this can apply to your field too, or your community as well. Yeah. So is there anyone who designs here in a community of designers? You don't do that. Don't go to a community and say yes. You just take some time to do your research. In fact, that involves the proof of what I'm saying. If you look through, you will tell. Look at past conversations. Look at what this group are talking about before you got there. That will give you an insight to what these guys are mentioning. So if nobody has talked about design, don't even ask, is anybody who designs here? This is what you're trying to do. This is what you just follow the anatomy and also the framework, which I'm also going to mention. And also, who can help me fix this thing? Okay. So because I do open source, you would see very weird people raising some weird issues on open source projects, right? And of course, I won't go there with empathy is one of the good thing as someone that serves communities. You don't want to you want to make everybody feel at the best comfort of themselves as much as you can. So, but some people really do ask and say, "Who can help me fix?" So they might not ask it directly like this, but this is the entire thing. Who can help me fix this thing? Everybody's busy. Just drop your thing and hope for the best. Yeah. So literally, people just go and say, "Help, help, help, please." Don't do that. Not good. So there, we already know you need help. That is why we are here. That is why you're in the community, right? That is one of the tenets. It's unspoken, it could be spoken, but as a community, we expect you to have questions and we expect to help you. That is one of the responsibilities we have to each other in the community. So don't go asking who can help me fix this thing or is there anybody? Just ask your questions. That is it gets you across the very first phase and gets you closer to getting your answers if the answers will come anyways. Just ask your questions and ask the right questions, right? And the more effort you put in your questions, that is the way your answers will come out. So you can see this dude now doing some press up, right? He's trying to put in some evidence, right? He's trying to get some, I'm not guaranteeing you the answers will come, yeah? So it's not every time you ask questions in community, people will give you answers. But you increase the chances if you put more effort into the questions you ask. Put more effort into the questions you ask. And people will put more answers into the answers they give you. All right. Thank you, Piper. All right. So ask good questions and put more effort into it. It takes time to ask a good question, just the way you want somebody to take time to give you good answers. Don't be the lazy person and just type, "Who can help me?" Type the question and go straight to it. So, and also one thing I've realized that people get scared, and that is especially true for beginners when they see, for example, people posting about making millions on groups. I just signed my new contract, or they're saying some terms, and you're like, "Oh my god, these people are like big." I I cannot come and be asked. So they are talking about deploying to the cloud and talking about IAMs and how they've configured their cloud services, and then you come into the group and you're saying, "So guys, is HTML a programming language?" You see, there could be this fear that you are scared in a community where people are talking about so really crazy things, and you are trying to get to even understand what CSS is. But one thing I always say is ask. Really, nobody would be offended. to answer your questions. Why? Because as I've said multiple times, countless number of times, a community is a group of people with a direction, with a goal, and they share this goal together. And one of the unspoken responsibilities that we have to each other is that each of us grow. And one way we can grow is by asking questions, regardless. And I said there are no stupid questions, right? But they could be bad questions. So don't be the person asking the bad questions, because in fact, if you ask good questions in the community, people start paying attention to you, and that is a form of being the person that people reach out to when opportunities come. In a way, do you get? So let's look at the question framework I put together, and it's literally just extending what I have spoken about in the previous what's it called in the previous slides, right? So uh, once you're trying to ask a question, really take your time to answer a couple of these questions, right? So, what are you trying to do? And as descriptive as possible, you should be very intentional about how you phrase that. Concise, intentional, clear, and direct. What are you trying to do? You in some times you don't even need to say I or greet. You can just say hello or something. Go straight to what you're trying to do. Once you've properly formulated what you're trying to do, hey guys, I am trying to center a div on the web page. Oh, sorry, I think I misplaced the order. Sorry, guys. So, what you're trying to do, yeah, sorry, I misplaced the. If you notice, I misplaced it. So, when you've written what you're trying to do, you tell them what is happening, right? So, I'm trying to center a div on the web page. Uh, okay, no, okay, wait. I think I missed. Sorry, I should check my notes. So, okay, so what you're trying to do, right? And then what you expect to happen. Okay, well, what you've tried. So I'm trying to center a div on the web page. I have tried to, yeah, that is the order. Sorry, I missed it and really messed with my head. So what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and what you've tried. So I'm trying to center a div, or I'm trying to do this. I have tried this. It's not working. This is the errors I'm getting. Do you get? So I have tried to center a div by doing flexbox, by using floats, by using margin and padding and manually doing it. They did not work, it was not working. This is the error I'm getting, or this is what I felt it was going to achieve, and this is not what it's doing. Now, you can now state what you are trying to fix it, because it's very essential that you show proof of effort. It helps people to be more invested in helping you when they see that, oh, this person is literally struggling, he has tried this. It eliminates other options, right? And also attach visual proof. And I think I said all these things in my previous slides, and I think I mentioned them in the previous conversation. Attach visual proof, show them that you've done the effort to make it work. Tell us what you've tried, right? In as descriptive as possible. Tell us what you think would happen when you try those things. When you tried this is what you expected to happen. When you try this is what you expected to happen, and this is what happened. If you're not sure what is wrong, then you now ask the question: how do I center a div? Blah 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 blah. See, it helps. It just is a good format. It's a good framework to give everybody the information they need to help you at an instant without so many back and forth. And then I know, as I said, the more effort you put into asking your questions, the more effort people will put into answering you. Uh, that is the very quick rundown on how uh, asking good questions could be formulated, and now you can ask them in your communities, or help your community member ask better. In fact, you could just put a structure in your community that this is what you expect uh, questions to look like in case you're asking them. It could be one of your rules, or more like your introductions when you're introducing people to the community. You can tell them that these are the frameworks we are using here to ask questions, and then it becomes a thing in your community for people to ask good questions. So I really want to take questions now, uh, and I hope that in a way I've been able to share one or two things about asking good questions and best ways to help your community members or you yourself be the person that asks good questions in your community. So, in case you have any questions, I'm really open to taking them now.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for that, Joshua. I must say it was a very wonderful session with you, and I've learned a lot from all you've discussed so far. So I believe there should be questions from the attendees. So if there is any question, you can leave it in the chat space, or you can signify by raising your hands, and I can call on you to ask your question.
And if you'd like to speak, just let us know so that we can give you the mic.
Okay, while that is going on, I could also bring up this case, right? So if you are trying to ask code questions in groups, right? One thing I've realized that most people, even on WhatsApp, they just copy paste the code and paste it there, and they expect by some magical divine superpower, we would just understand the code that is crumbled up, right? So there are tools online that allow you to present your code properly, and you can take a picture, or once you post your code snippets there, they allow you to download. Uh, if that is if you can't take a screenshot yourself and send, you can just copy the code and paste it there, and then they give you an image that you can share to groups. It really helps with the comprehension of your issues, right? That's what I was saying. Visual proof, and as much as possible, make them clear enough and concise. So, questions or comments? Yeah, I should share questions or comments, or like observations, or like disagreements. Yeah, please, you can also disagree with me in case you believe that uh, you can disagree with me. I'm really open.
I think Piper would want to say something, so you can go on,
Yeah.
Piper.
Okay, thank you. I talk a lot, so I'm sorry for if I'm cutting anyone else off. The first of all, this was fantastic. I loved it. I'm glad I got up early for it. Um, the question format that you gave is beautiful, and but most of the communities that I work with aren't DevRel or have problems like this. They're more, I don't know, they're just different. And so do you have any suggestions on like if there's, if there's no code or anything, if it's just a general question? I'm sorry, I'm not being very specific.
Oh yes, I think I get where you're coming from. I think I get what you're trying to say.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
could you give me like a sample of your community? Like, what do your community? What are you guys involved with? What are your theme in your community?
Well, actually, let me go back to the CMX community. Beth asked a question about for someone about the an employment question. She asked it anonymously, and it was like, should I contact the hiring manager? And these are my questions. This is what I would ask if I contacted the hiring manager. And so it was just a straightforward question. And what do you think? Does that
Okay.
make sense now?
Yeah, in a way, I think
Okay.
yes. Okay, so when one general rule of thumb is if your community is more about like there are no odd things to show, and when I say odd things, I mean things like you really can take screenshots. You deal more with just having conversations and not making things work. I feel like one of the rule
Yeah.
of thumb is to encourage people to be descriptive with what they're trying to say, because oftentimes people just like they don't provide enough information in the questions they're asking, and that would require some back and forth. And I myself have been guilty of this thing several times, and it just been the realizations that I could do better. It helps more people save time. It really shortens the back and forth because I've provided all the information that is needed to make a decision or to like give me a direction on what to do. So, for example, we're trying to get some funding for a community event, and I'm dealing with people that deal with hundreds of other community leaders, which are also on trying to get, and so previously that when I really started the conversation, I would just say, "Hi, her name is I can't remember. I think Tracy. Hi, Tracy. I this. And then she comes back and say, is this the date you want to do it? I will say, yes, this is the date. She will say this, and then there was it back and forth. But when I realized that it was taking time, so every time I want to ask a question, I sit and I say, hi, Tracy, this is what we're trying to do. This is what I feel are the blockers that might not allow me to do it. This is what I feel the solutions could be. This is this, this is that. What do you think, and how do I proceed? So I've given her,
Oh, okay.
oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So I've given her like, I've taken my time to put in more effort into the question by considering all the things that she might even ask me. So if the date was usually our point of like blocker, like, oh, you guys can't do it on the 5th because by the time we process the funds, it's going to be between that and this, so we might need 30 days. I already thought about all those things, and I'm like, okay, hey Tracy, this is the date we are proposing, but I think I read in the code of conduct or something that it takes 30 days. How do we bypass that? Is there anything we could do? I've taken my time. So she just comes in and then she just say, okay, I will speak to you on this and that. And it really helps everybody. So I feel as a general rule of thumb, if you're not dealing with things where you need visual proof, the structure, the framework really stands. And also
Mhm.
generally being very descriptive with what you're trying to ask helps. You can never be wrong typing enough information that it might look chunky. That's why you can break it up by using the enter bar, like space it out, but really providing enough information, and as much as possible think from the other person's feet, that okay, so what are the things this person would need to give me the answer or the right direction with less force and in no time. I think that is just like a general rule of thumb.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anybody, any other questions? Any other observations or like pointers, comments? All right. So remember, you can ask good questions, right? You can always ask good questions. Don't be the person asking the bad ones. And we've seen what a bad question look like. It's it's really bad if you just don't give people information to help you. Time is fickle. People have so many things they're doing. One of the ways that you can help yourself and help others help you and help others help themselves is by giving them the information they need to help you. And also like, okay, so I'm seeing something in the chat. Some people dislike rejections. It traumatizes them when no one attends to the question. What measure would you prefer for something like that? You know, like I said, okay, there are several. Let me start from one. A committee is a group of people that, oh, sorry, a group of people that come together, right? Several people in the committee. Oftentimes, why this happens is because some people believe that they don't know enough to answer the questions. Or two, people are very busy that they don't check the chat where your question is very visible, and when they come, your question has gone so up in the conversation chat that it's lost in the myriad of ocean of comments. That is two. Three, people are busy, you know. So I want you to have this natural conviction that nobody hates you. Rejection is part of this. Is part of this journey. If you are sad that no, you're asking a question, nobody's answering you. Imagine when you're applying to a job and then you get several no's. I mean, I think you should start getting to understand that no or like rejections is just is part of the game. Honestly, that's what I would say. And the earlier you realize that that should not be a point of stopping, that should be like a fuel that motivates you to like try a different strategy or revisit what you're trying. Maybe there's something you can improve. You should really get used to that. And like I said, most of your times, if you're asking good questions, somebody might be very interested in helping because they've seen the number of amount of time you put into the process of making your questions really understandable and clear for somebody to come in. So if you've done quite the work, oftentimes people won't let you go by without helping. All right. So any other question? Okay. Okay. Are you talking about the times when people are mean when they respond to a badly phrased question? Um, is that me or Aziz? Are you asking me or Aziz? Okay, that's for Aziz. Oh yeah. So I think what Piper is trying to say is, maybe we should also look from the point of you ask the questions and people are mean to you. Yeah. So that really says a lot about the community culture, honestly. And honestly, if you've been polite in your questions, or you've been really, if you believe you've done everything right in your questions, and people come at you, honestly, I would like to, I will just say plain, that community should look into its moderation. As much as possible, we should remind everybody that this is a safe space. If you shouldn't be mean to anybody when they ask questions. If you've on and and I can say for a fact that there are communities like that where they could be very sarcastic with their reply, and sarcasm is it's a really painful job. it's it's like you're making jest of the person in a way that sounds more like you are it's really painful. And it really tells about the culture of the community, honestly. And if you can find, I'm not saying you should leave the community, but honestly, that might not just be an LD community for you. Honestly, that's the truth. So, but just remember that rejections are part of this thing. No's, you will hear so many no's, and not every time would you hear the yes. You should find ways to just take that as a feedback loop and try to get better with the way you're asking questions, or find a better community. Honestly, if people are mean to you for asking questions, but if you've badly phrased the question, now that is where you take that as a feedback. But however, regardless of how you phrase the question, I do not succumb to people being mean to you in a committee. It really doesn't fit into the general LD status of what a community should feel like. A community should be a safe space, regardless of whether you're asking good questions or bad questions. As long as you are following the rules of the community, you're not posting the very absolute wrong content there. A community should be a safe space, regardless of that. All right. Any questions further? Okay. Thank you guys so much. This has been Joshua, and it's been an exciting time with you. I would leave and give the space over to my boss now. Thank you so much for having me.
Um, uh, Thank you so much, Joshua, for um that. Alan, are you saying something? Alan, can you stay muted, please? Can somebody help with that? All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Joshua, for that. I think it has been a very wonderful one. For the questions asked from Piper, from Aziz, it was all wonderful questions, and I feel the question helped us understand more about how to build yourself with a community, how to ask good questions, how to put your questions through in a community and get the best response from the members of the community. So, thank you so much, Joshua, for that. It was really amazing, and I believe we're going to have you some other time to speak with us here. And thank you guys for joining, to the attendees, to the organizers, and of course, I should appreciate myself, right? So, thank you guys for joining, and we'll see some other time. So, anticipate more of something like this. So, see you next time, and have a wonderful time. Thank you. Bye bye.